Now, will Botox cure the skin? Of course not. If you've got rough texture, uneven tone, then something called plasma skin resurfacing is my favorite technology to help the skin. I've got IPLs and light other treatments, but really, if you have that much structural damage to the face, the plasma really helps even things out. When people say, should I do plasma instead of the Botox, I usually say Botox is more important, because think of the shirt. If you iron the shirt, but you wear it, it's useless. You have to stop wearing the shirt and the skin will heal by itself, or the shirt will heal by itself. Well, obviously a shirt doesn't heal by itself, but skin does. So that's important for the skin surface. So we talked about the face like a bed and talked about each layer. Let's talk about the neck. The neck is a wonderful area to help as an adjunct. A lot of people do that as their first move, but it really, to me, is we focus on the eyes and make the eyes look softer and younger and fresher, and we fail to see that the neck, to me, is oftentimes secondary, although if it's hanging, it clearly takes away from your look, or if you're a gentleman, oftentimes it's the priority zone. And so I find out most men don't mind a little bit aging. Just to use an example, Robert Downey Jr., I know he looks very aged, so to speak, in his 50s, but oftentimes he looks more masculine, looks better. He probably doesn't need a lot of fat. He looks, I think, sometimes better in his 50s and his 30s. So it depends on the context. So most men are more focused on the neck. How do I do the neck? Well, I've got some really cool techniques now where I can actually do this without an incision. It's a shoelace or trampoline lift where I'm basically, it's not a thread lift. Those things have been out for about 3 or 4 years. They don't work. But it's a very strong binding suture that's placed in there. In the recovery, minus bruising and maybe a little bit of tightness, it's like 1 or 2 days. And I can do it under light anesthesia. It's an amazing adjunct to a fat graft or as a standalone procedure. Of course, conventional facelifts, I do very natural work, and the key with this is you barely can see my incisions because I curve it 50 different ways, so it's very hard to see my incisions. In addition to that, there is no hair loss, okay? I do not cut up here and make these weird hair patterns that look absurd. There's no hair loss. The incisions I use are about 1/3 of the length that most other people use. So another thing about facelifts, and they do not look windswept or weird. So that's a component. If you have enough issues that the trampoline or the shoelace lift is not enough to do the work, you've got to do a full facelift. But if you don't want it, you want something small, the small lift that I just described is a really good way to really add on and avoid incisions if you're scared of those things. I can do everything without a single incision, which is pretty cool. I want to finally talk about one small subject, which is hands. So I don't do body work, my specialty is the face, but I always say that hands give you away. And remember that the only thing you cannot put clothes on regularly are your face and your hands. So the 2 areas that are exposed. And sometimes when you do the face and it looks so great and the hands are not quite there, it's an area that you may want to look at under my before and afters in terms of hand fat grafting. The goal is really to rebuild the knuckles, to rebuild the fingers, and rebuild the back of the hand. So there's less bone showing and fewer veins showing. But it's not something where there's all the wrinkles gone. It's just to provide a hint of a context of a youthful result that's really, really elegant. So just something to overall complement everything. I know I went through a lot of things pretty quickly. My goal is for you just to get a very quick snapshot. I ask you to review this video several times, and I really ask you to explore the other videos I've suggested you to look at, and they're scattered all over this website, and they're going to help you start to understand my philosophy before you come and see me. So hopefully this video as a tutorial on facial rejuvenation was a good overall concept to understand my strategies for facial rejuvenation.